Saira.
Sairam, everyone. I'll just request Sister Kalyani to summarize what we had from last week. Then we can go with today's discussion. Thank you.
Sai Ram. So we are in the part where Swami is talking about the Jnana Yogi. And Swami has described the Jnana Yogi in different ways, that he strives to become truth itself and cannot bear to be separate from truth, that he transcends, he tries to transcend even daily activities, that he considers the great ocean of existence and everything in it as bandhu or bondage. And Swami later went on to say that just having the vision, the highest vision, alone is not enough, that he has to bring that bhava into experience, and it has to be experientially realized. And just because your intellect can grasp it, it is not sufficient. And it should enter our Atman without just remaining as a collection of feelings or a body of doctrines. So I believe that's where we stopped last time.
Thank you, Sister. Um, so do we want to read this again or go over to the next slide?
I think she should read. Sairam?
Yes, Auntie.
I think Kalyani should read it again.
Okay, Auntie.
One fact has to be noted here. If a person has this knowledge of the immanence of the divine, and even of its transcendence, he cannot be honored as a jnani. For the knowledge has to be digested through actual experience. This is the crucial test. It is not enough if the intellect nods approval and is able to prove that Godhead is all. The belief must penetrate and prompt every moment of living and every act of the believer. Jnana should not be merely a bundle of thoughts or a packet of neatly constructed principles. The faith must enliven and enthuse every thought, word, and deed. The self must be soaked in the nectar of jnana.
Thank you, Sister. Auntie, last time did we read the Telugu one of this as well? We had,
If you want, I can read it again.
Sure, Auntie. If you think, it'll help revisiting, we can.
Yeah, correct.
Nedu buddhi sammatamuga.
One నిమిషం. లోక వస్తువులను బంధువులు వంటిగా తోచును మూలాధారమైన we all did it, no? అతనికి సర్వబంధువు భగవంతుడే. Did we read that? No.
Yeah, I think
we had read it. But for this translation, one had to be noted. Where does it start, Ma?
Okay. Aite itti bhavamulu undina matramuna jnana yogi kajaladu.
Kajaladu. Yeah. ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ. ಹೆಂಗೆ ಇದೆ ಮಿಸ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ లైన్. సత్యము వేరుగా తాను వేరుగా ఉండనలడు, దాన్ని వేరుగా భావించడు, అతనికి సర్వబంధువు భగవంతుడే అని భావించడు.
It's after that.
After that, is it? సుఖమైనను
After that.
ఇంద్రియములు మధ్య మధ్య అట్టి భావమును క్రిందికి లాగును, ప్రపంచ వ్యామోహన పద్ధతి అణువులో అణువు కానీ దట్ వి డిడ్ నాట్. I'm not getting it, that line.
Oh, you can read from there, Auntie. It's just a few sentences after Anuvulo.
Oh, yeah. Correct.
Yeah, it's a few sentences after that.
Okay. కాజాలు కరెక్ట్. అయితే ఇట్టి భావములు ఉండినంత మాత్రమున జ్ఞానయోగి కాజాలుడు. Sai Satish?
Yes, Auntie. Just because of these feelings inherent in that person, he cannot be called as a Jnana Yogi.
వీటిని అనుభూతిలోనికి తెప్పించుకొనవలెను.
This has to be got into one's inner experience.
అనుభవ సిద్ధములుగా చేసుకొనవలెను.
It has to be made experiential in practice.
ఇది అత్యంత ముఖ్యము.
This is of prime importance.
బుద్ధికి మాత్రము తెలిసిన చాలదు.
It is not sufficient if the buddhi alone grasps this.
కడకు అవి మన జీవిత రూపం పొందవలెను.
At the end, it has to ultimately become a form of our very life.
కేవలము భావ సముదాయముగా భావ సముదాయంగా, ప్లీజ్ గో అహెడ్ బికాజ్ ఇట్స్
it should not be merely bhava samudaya.
It's not emotional.
Oh, it should not just remain as an emotional feeling.
సిద్ధాంత సముదాయముగా, philosophical.
Okay, philosophical understanding.
ఉండుట మాని మన ఆత్మలోనికి ప్రవేశింపవలెను.
It has to enter the very atmic self.
నేడు బుద్ధి సమ్మతముగా ఉన్నను అనేక విషయములు కానీ,
even if it is explained by the buddhi, Auntie.
Yes, correct.
So this one is the next slide.
Next line, is it? Sorry.
I don't know if we can.
Okay. The faith must enliven and enthuse every thought, word, and deed. The self must be soaked in the nectar of gnana. That's it. That's where I think it stops.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the faith. Okay, I don't know if thought, word, and deed
is not there here.
Is not there. Yes, Auntie.
బుద్ధికి మాత్రము తెలిసిన చాలదు. If even an intellect knows it's not enough.
Yeah.
అవి మన జీవిత రూపము అందువలన it should become our. There I think he has translated it as thought, word, and deed. మన జీవిత రూపము పొందవలెను.
Oh, it has to take a very form of our life or existence. That yes, okay.
That yes. I think we should stop here and.
Sure, Auntie. Thank you.
I think we had already discussed a little bit, so if there's no questions, we can also move on.
One question I have, Kalyani. That is, we all, Swami says that should become an experiential knowledge, the tattva vichara, that the self is the real tattva which we have to realize. That's the thinking for a Gnani knows. And but how to get that experiential knowledge? Is there any hurdle to get that experiential knowledge? Or is there any way how we can achieve that? That's my question, if anyone can answer.
Anyone wants to give a solution to what Auntie has posed. How do we get the experiential knowledge and not just bookish knowledge? How does one go from that realm of um, a mental exercise to building into one's very existence? Yes, Brother Shivdas.
Including me, usually we don't have that faith in Bhagavan's words, and also we are still attracted or distracted by the activity type. You know that Bhagavan is saying in the latter parts of the book, man is rajasic. So when we are always rajasic, we want to do something. And in the halfway, we like to do something. We understood the philosophy, but in practice, we are dragged activity based. So to control, to become sattvic, that's what the book says, no? We have to become sattvic and we have to ask Bhagavan's grace to control ourselves and become the subject, become the the jnani, Actually, I have this question because we read, we understand, intellectually understand, very nicely understand, but in practical life, we become the rajasic activity pushed, not satisfied and concerned. Bhavan says after realizing jnani will be doing service to the world. That's a different way. Yeah, I had that difficulty too. Thank you, Saira.
So Sairam, brother.
Sairam.
Sairam, auntie. I don't have, using the phone, I don't have that ability to put my hand. In my experience, everyone, Jnani also knows, we also knows that how to be a Jnani. In the bookish knowledge, words, thoughts, deeds are supposed to be aligned, oneness, we know. But how are we going to practice that one? Our nature tendency is to go out. Our mind goes out. We know everything Maya. Even Jnani also knows Maya. But we don't believe. But Jnani experienced that one. So our mind, so whatever our thoughts are supposed to be invertedly, we have to look invertedly, not outwardly. How the mother is feeding that first, he feeding the milk. After that, the mother is feeding solid food. Initially, the kids won't agree to that one. Eventually, it adapt to the solid food. Same way, when we invertedly change our mind, think about experience the Atma, then we can come to that level. That's all, Sairam, brother.
Sairam.
Thank you, Brother Tarzan.
Thank you.
Any other points to what Auntie had asked? Yes, Sister Revati.
Sairam, I was just remembering what the late Bernice Mead had mentioned, for children when she was doing the Balvikas teacher's training. She had mentioned that Swami had told her to tell the kids to say out loud a confirmation. After your Balvikas class, you'll focus on one topic and you say a confirmation in the present tense. I am loving, not I want to be loving, not tomorrow I'll be loving, or, I am loving in the present tense, to say it. And she said something like, but what if you don't believe it. You know, you're just standing in front of Swami's picture and you're just saying something. And the way that she had said it was, Swami said, initially you might pretend that it's real, I am loving. Then you tend to believe it. And then finally you end believing it. Perhaps this is something along that way when we do that abhyasa yoga of, constantly confirmations or soham or whatever it is that's our practice. Initially it might be imagination or make believe in our mind, but slowly through practice, hopefully we will tend to have more faith in it, and hopefully we will end having more faith in it. Sairam.
Sairam, Sairam.
Thank you, sister. Any other points? Yes, Sanjayana.
No, I was just going to ask Auntie to ask the question again, please.
Sanjay Bhai, the question is, we all know that we are in search of our Tattva Gnana. And once when we know that we are not this body or not this intellect, but we are that pure self. And from that point of self, we have to deal in the world. Now, this, everybody, theoretically, all of us know. Everybody knows about this, that we are not this body, we are that pure consciousness. But how do we put it into our experiential knowledge? That was my question. Bring it to our experience. Swami says it should be an experiential knowledge. It's not make that intellectual approval that yes, we are God. But are we able to bring it to our experience in every dealing? That's what my question. Yes, Sanjay, please, if you can.
No, Auntie, I don't have an answer. I just wanted to re-understand the question. I don't know if this is probably the way to look at it. I know there is this Panchakosha Viveka, Drishya Viveka.
Yeah.
All these things are these the methods by which one transforms that understanding to actual? That's what I would say. Again, I don't know if this question can be answered by any one of us who is on this side of the of the wall. But based on what the Upanishads have declared, I don't know if this, the sadhana chatushtaya and then these vivekas, the various vivekas, methodologies are the ways by which to put that knowledge to slowly inculcate that into our own understanding. I don't know. Maybe that's the way I was thinking of the question. Yeah.
Thank you, Sanjay. Yeah, all this philosophy, Upanishad says the same thing. Panchakosh Viveka, Drigdrishya Viveka, and that Avastatra Viveka, everything it says. But when it comes to the question of experiencing that self, even though it's for a momentary experience may be that, but it's not a permanent experience what we are going through. That's what I feel. Sai Satish, if you have anything to add.
Auntie, so like Swami would tell about this cow that is quickly grazing because it has to pick up as much as possible. And then afterwards it goes, and then after having chewed everything, it has the cud, it has to bring that cud and it has to keep chewing the cud. So other than what you mentioned, that knowledge which is there as I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am the Atman, that knowledge, if I have to make it wisdom, I have to keep chewing every day, every moment, as much as possible. I may fail, but I have to get up, I have to redo. And And what Swami, and interestingly, we were discussing some of this in today our center satsang also, that many of the activities, like suppose somebody rings the bell, the thing is to immediately go and open the door. But before I go and open the door, can I think of Swami and then go? So those actions again, it may be like offering to Swami, but slowly, slowly, slowly doing, it may lead to a point whereby the Shravanam Mananam Nididhyasana, where it may lead to that point of glimpse of the self, which will ultimately make self-realization possible. And I'll just share this one incident where there was one of the students who, I think this was shared by Prem in one of his talks, where he was saying that the student would have difficulty if he has to go meet somebody, if he has to undertake any task, he would start getting stressed, he would start getting palpitations, he would start sweating, he would find it pretty intimidating to do any activity of meeting people. And when he went and told this to Swami, I'm here, and when I'm here in your presence, of course things are manageable. If I go out into the world, how will I manage these things? Because it'll all the more stress me out. And what was told in that talk also was we would expect people to give solutions like, okay, do this kind of a therapy or do that kind of a thing which will calm you down, take some deep breaths before you go. This is what we would give as normal thing. But what Swami told that student was, Dehabhimanam tagginchko bangaru, like reduce your body consciousness. So I think, Auntie, like you said, directly now it'll be, yes, Swami told reduce body consciousness. How will I reduce body consciousness? That will be the next extension of that. But then where I'm coming from is anything happens, I don't react or I don't respond. I think last thing Sister Shivani mentioned that experience of that person, of that Sufi saint or person whose son has drowned, and the disciple comes and says, your son has drowned. He just observes that. He hears that and he smiles after a few seconds. Then a few
Others comment.
that, yeah, the same. So I think by observing myself repeatedly, I can slightly separate myself from the body and mind. Every time something happens, am I able to be more of an observer than a person, than the doer? Because if I become the doer, I face problems. If I can stay at the realm of an observer, maybe I'm going closer to the self and I'm having a glimpse of the self, which could make that into like tatvena praveshtum possible. So I'm just trying to, the tussle between doership and observership. How do I go more as an observer? But I'll stop here. I see Brother Tasan has his hand up.
Yeah.
Sairam, brother. So whatever you said is perfectly the good answer, because we have to understand we are not the body. We have to understand some people we think Jiva, we are Jiva. And there's no difference between Jiva and the Atma. Atma is a God. But once you understand that one, we are bound to the Maya. If you come out that one, we are not the body, then at least we can move on to the Jnani stage. Thank you, Brother Saira.
Okay. So what I understand from everybody's viewpoint is that, first of all, become an observer, Sakshi. First become a Sakshi, then you will slowly get into the habit of observing things, and then you respond later on. That is one solution for the problem. And another one is, first of all, number one, Swami's grace is needed to realize that, to come to that point. Second point is, the hurdles that we face to realize the self is our mind, which is very, very rajasic. Our impure mind doesn't allow us to come to that point. And the third point, what I heard by some scholar was, we have our samskaras. Samskaras put a lot of obstacles to realize the self. That's also very true. because we have brought with us, after so many births, past births, we have brought with us so many impressions. So those impressions they don't allow us to realize the self very quickly. So slowly we have to exhaust all those impressions and become the first observer, and then we can maybe perhaps by abhyasa, by constant practice, we may be able to come to that point. Thank you very much for my question. Everybody has answered.
Thank you, Auntie. I think, like you said, from Sakshi, one has to become Sakshi Bhutam. So, like that journey will be. Yeah, thank you, Auntie.
Sakshi Chaitanya. Sakshi Chaitanya.
Chaitanya. Yes, Auntie. Sakshi Chaitanya. Thank you.
Okay. Sai Ram.
Yes, Uncle Gopalan.
Sai Ram, I was listening a few months back about one student in the university. One day he just sat in front of the hostel on the field and went into meditation, and he wouldn't eat, no water, nothing. And he was like that for more than 2 days, like that. And all the students were worried. So they went to Swami and told him, this boy is doing like that. Swami said, don't worry, tomorrow he will wake up. He's gone into a trance. That's what Swami said. Just you might know about that.
Thank you, Uncle. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Mr. Gopal.
Sanjay, you had your hand up and then you dropped.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, I do have a question. There was something that was mentioned. Recently I was listening to a discourse where Swami was talking about the four Purusharthas. And Swami says dharma, artha, and kama has to be accomplished by one's own effort. And Swami said moksha is that's in God's hand. Swami said that's that only God can give you. Swami was talking in the context of Vedas. Recently they had put this thing out because the Veda conference happened. Swami says all the other three are explained in detail in how to accomplish that, and how to reach those three goals through the knowledge given in the Vedas. But moksha is the only one given by God. So in that context, when we say get a glimpse of the self, or we say we experience for a brief moment that state of self, is it something that you can experience and come back? Like, for example, can you wake up from a dream and go back to the dream? Can you experience it, a moment of bliss, and then go back? Or is it once, as Swami says, 3 minus 1 equals 1 in this Advaita math? Once he removes the mind, can you go back? I think that I thought that must it may be worth understanding that if anyone has more insight from scripture or from Swami's discourses on, is this something that you can get a glimpse and then go and then you go back to your normal state and then again keep working and so on. So yeah, that is kind of the question.
Thank you, Anna. So anyone wants to answer to that one? If one has that experience of the Atmic self, will life be the same again? Can they go back and continue with their activities as such?
No, it's not that. Yes, you go back. You don't go away from society. I mean, absolutely, it's a realized person stays in society and serves society, no doubt. That is not the question. The question is, do you get a glimpse of it and then get unglimpsed? Meaning, do you get a glimpse of your true reality or Atma Tattva, know who you truly are, and then you go back into not knowing who you are? Is that possible? Because when we say get a glimpse of it or you experience it for yourself, it automatically implies that you get a glimpse and you go back to being in ignorance. Is that something that's been talked about in the Shastra? Anyone can shed some light into it.
Yeah. So a person who has woken up about going back to sleep again. Yes, Brother Shivadas.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Really, it's a valid, very, very valid question Sanjay raised now. So when the ultimate, so when we go to the ultimate level, once a glimpse is experienced, we cannot come back again. That is a very understand. We can understand. I have not read anything in Baba's discourses or anywhere about this thing, but I know of circumstances where in Ramana Maharshi's case, it may be true or may not be true. Ramana Maharshi said, when people go in before him, when they sit before him, in front of him, many people got experience, and samadhi-like experiences. Samadhi-like, I don't say samadhi-like experience. Even in a larger scale also it happened. In a Shivaratri day, they wanted, the disciples wanted Ramana Maharshi to explain what is this Sangara's Dakshinamurti Stotram. So Bhagavan nodded, yeah, we'll see, like something like we see. So people assembled in the night about 7 p.m. And they were looking at Ramana Maharshi, and all the people sat there didn't know it was 4 o'clock. Now it's come 4 o'clock, the bell rang. Everybody got up and started to do their work. But he didn't teach anything. They looked at him, and all these people got, they don't know, they got a samadhi. But this may not be as Brother Sanjay said, near to the final, near to the last item. It may be in between, something in between. That's what we say, Savikalpa Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and also this Ramana Maharshi said, Sagaja Samadhi is the last one he said. Sagaja Samadhi, he said, that is where the jnanis help the world, practically living in the world. Only Sagaja Samadhi people can be mixing in the world and doing this, not all. So the question was valid, and I agree that when we go to the final, if we get a glimpse, we cannot come back. As you said, mind vanished now. So when mind vanished, it won't come actually. Cannot come. Otherwise, it isn't the real experience. Okay, thank you. That's what I could say. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Yes, brother. Yes, brother Dasan.
Yes, I am, brother. So we have seen some jnanis. If it takes Shirdi Baba or Sathya Sai Baba or even Lord Krishna, in their life, we have Shastra says they are jnani too, because outwardly they may act, they may feel like talking to the people, but they are not attached to anything. So inwardly they are calm. That many times Shirdi Baba explained to that one, even Sathya Sai Baba explained to that one, you and me are God, but you didn't realize, I realized. So we have seen example, jnanis. Thank you, brother Saira.
Thank you, brother. Any other additional point to what Sanjayana's question is? Okay, so maybe I'll attempt. So oneness, we know Swami says, oh, yes, sister, do you want to
Yeah, this is just again an added question to this.
I'm just wondering, could it be like God gives us the taste of it so that we strive for it further, that momentary, whatever Sanjay said. If we get the taste, then probably we may strive. And then again, the God puts the Maya, covers us with the Maya, so that we are back again in the mind. Because if we have not finished our learning, our soul has not finished the journey, like we are all spiritual being having a human experience, Swami says, right? So if for that, if we have to finish the learning, the experience is not finished, then the Maya will cover and bring us to our mind. But he gave us the taste of it so that we strive better and finish this journey faster. Well, that is the ultimate goal, right? Could that be somewhat? I'm just asking.
Thank you, sister. Thank you for that. Yeah, we can. Yeah, it's one of the many inputs that will get us to that totality. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Yes, Sister Revati.
Yeah, so I was just remembering the experience of Professor Bhagya, where he had maybe what sounded like Swami giving him a taste of this expansiveness, where he saw himself as, Paramatma and everything inside it. And it was such a, unbelievable experience for him. But he himself said it was not lasting. It was like Sister had said, a teaser. And then he had to come back. But it gave him, he says it gave him more, motivation to strive for it. Maybe the first time it was through the grace of Swami, but then the next time, I guess, he has to strive and work towards it. But it was just a teaser. And that was not the first time I had heard of other people having experiences like that. There are other, maybe not as well known as Professor Bhagya, but other people that have said they were sitting, in darshan, waiting, and immediately they had this, whatever it was that triggered this sense of oneness. They had that sense, but like Sister said, it was just a fleeting sense. And they had to come back to reality and perhaps continue on their journey with more zest.
Thank you, Sister. Any other points?
So,
I just have one more thing.
Sadish, his question is, Sanjay's question is the final experience. When the taste of a final experience is experienced, can be reverted, come back. That's the question.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. Thanks for reinforcing that. So, Sister, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I just was wondering, are the Jivan Muktas constantly into that stage, or are the Jivan Muktas who have tasted and then again into this worldly Maya, but they live with that awareness?
Okay, so there's an add-on to that question.
Yeah, because this takes us deeper, because otherwise sometimes when you hear batches by batches, then sometimes it gets confusing.
Yeah.
Because I remember last time when I brought up this about Bhagya's experience, I remember brother Arun saying that we need to go by our own experience. Sometimes it could be the mind play also, right? Like for any one of us as such. So like, how do we discriminate once you, the initial stages, was it a real experience or it was a mind play first? Probably. Because even in the I think, if I'm not mistaken, where who am I, when we are doing meditation, we are constantly asked to go through those different stages, keep asking until you reach where there is no answer, like you're just into that presence, nothing else stays. That is the where you reach. So are we in these stages of asking, it leads to us, or the Jivan Muktas? Because I know some of the people, Swami himself has said that these are Jivan Muktas. So are they constantly staying in that stage, or they are like what Sanjay said, we go into it momentarily, but since we have tasted it, then we strive to this? How does that work? I don't know whether this question relates to it, but I always
wonder what exactly is the Jivan Mukta stage, because there are a lot of Sai devotees whom Swami has said they are in Jivan Mukta stage.
Thank you for that
Thank you.
input, sister. Yeah, Sanjay, I see you have your hand up.
No, I was just going to, I'm glad Sister Revati recollected what Aruna had mentioned. Then I think we have to stick to our experience, because many a times some of these things are in the mind. And absolutely, I think as even, as Brother Shivdasan said about Ramana Maharshi giving the experience to some people, or even Ramakrishna Paramahamsa giving the experience to Vivekananda, and so on. I think it's in the mind. But to the question of Jivan Mukta, when the Jiva is dissolved, there is nothing remaining, because the Jiva is what separates us from Paramatma. And when the Jivan Mukta, which is in the word itself, when the Jiva is Mukta, as in, is no longer exists, there is nothing to come back to. Then all the vesture of the body and the mind and everything is just used for the purpose as an instrument to continue to serve, is what I understand.
Thank you, Aruna. Yes, Uncle Gopalan. Yeah.
Hi, Ram. Just want to make a point that the experience can come even when you're in a deep sleep. So, just want to make a point.
Thank you, Uncle. Thank you for that. Sister, you were going to say something. You can, yeah.
Yeah, I just wondering, like as Sanjay said, so basically, does that mean the Jivan Muktas they've realized and they stay in that constant integrated awareness that I am that, but they still live to finish whatever the prarabdhic karmas or something of that sort? How, like if they have already finished or they have realized they are God, then why do they still live in this body in this human form then? Because even Jivan Muktas who have been named, as Swami has said, they have undergone the sickness, but they were able to handle it with the total different aspect if they are aware or they've reached that level. So I'm just wondering then, why is the body still continuing experiencing this human living on this earth in that case?
Okay.
The Jivan Muktas.
Yeah, we will go sequentially, sister. I know
Okay. Yeah,
several
no
questions have come.
Sorry about it, but
No,
yeah,
it is good. It is very, thanks for bringing them up. I'm just trying to see how do we go from like what Sanjayana mentioned to what you have brought up. I'm just trying to keep track of those.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
So maybe I will try to attempt some of this. So the first thing is Swami has mentioned in his discourse, he said this is about a person. Of course, the story goes there is on the wayside, as I think it is Vivekananda or one of the disciples who are walking back, and they see a person fallen on the road. So initially, there are people who are crossing. That one person thinks that this person has got fits and that's why he's fallen off. Another person thinks some other problem he's had, that's why he's unconscious and he's lying there. And then, of course, Vivekananda comes and he feels, I think, he's having a godly experience and so on. And why I'm saying this is in the context of Swami says, like what Brother Shivadas was saying, when somebody goes into that state and they come back and all that, Swami says it is more like hysteria. It's not like the sahaja samadhi state, where Swami says it should be in in complete wakefulness, the person who has attained that state will be in that state. That means it's not that they go to something and then they come back kind of a thing. And if you see, it is said, Mano Moolam Idam Jagat. The entire creation is based on the mind. And if the mind goes to a level of amanaska, when there is no mind, then there is no creation. Because if it is Jagat, Swami says Jagat is comes and goes. So if that experience comes and goes, it is not permanent. That means one is not established in that self. It is more of a fleeting experience, and it's something that we are still chasing, right? Because if one is that, then one is not this. It cannot be two. When one realizes the Atmic self, they are always there in the Atmic self. Then it becomes that, okay, if that person is a Jivan Mukta, he is there in that state, then what happens to the rest of the body and mind, right? So, like when Swami has in another instance, he has said how Swami, when he wants, as he thinks, it happens. As he thinks, it happens. There is no there's no gap between his thinking and some other set of events happening, and then the action comes, because it is operating at that level of purity. So to Sanjayana's things, I think it is more like, if I have a dark room and I put on the light fills the whole dark room instantaneously with light, and I stay in light. But then the light that has come on, is it that Atmic, that experience that has come as a floodlight and it will last forever? Or it is something like a small flicker, like what was being discussed, in which case it is not the absolute realization of the self, but something like, if it was experienced by the mind and the mind is able to describe it, that means it is still at the realm of the mind and it is not beyond the mind. If it goes to something that is beyond the mind, you cannot express it with your mind. It cannot be expressed with the words. And that is where nobody who has experienced that has ever come back and explained it in words. Point number 1, this happened. Step 2, this happened. Step 3, because it is the ahankara is subtler than the buddhi. And because it is subtler than the buddhi, it cannot be explained by the buddhi or the manas. Because the ahankara, when it loses its akara and becomes aham, which is the state of its pristine self, it is yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. One cannot use words or anything to experience. So that's the problem. People who have gone into that state cannot list, like what Brother Shivadas said. Ramana Maharishi gave that experience. He didn't sit and explain to them how 7 p.m. became 4 a.m., right? Like literally they lost track of time when they were in his presence, and then went on with their normal activities. So many of these things at the level of amanaska or at the level of atmic self, if somebody is able to come back and explain their experience, sister, then it is more like it is still cognizable with the mind and senses. So it is limited in its experience.
Right.
And to those people, why do then they stay? They stay there just for the welfare of the world. It is just, there is the only purpose, the only singular purpose that they have is to be selfless for the sake of the welfare of the world, for which they hold on. Like they say, even in the context of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, that when he was in that state, they had to keep some bodily discomfort to still hold on to the body, kind of a thing, or else the body will just drop like a leaf and things like that's what has been told by people like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. But from Swami's, what Swami has told is very, very clear. One, that person should be able to experience in terms of how they go about life. It's not like they go into a trance, they go into some kind of a thing. They will deal the way or the ways of the world in that state of samadhi with complete realization of their self. For them, it's a difficult thing to say how, when you are beyond the mind, when you are beyond that, how will you deal with the world? I would say, like the closest that we can come to say or experience that is how Swami dealt with the world. As an avatar, how Swami dealt with the world, though when he was established in the Atmic self. But the only reason that such a being exists is for the welfare of the world. There's no other motive for them to hold on to their body or the mind. I'm sorry if it's a long-winded answer. I don't know if I answered your question, but these were some of the things. And Sanjayana, I don't know if you wanted to add to that or anything. Anyone else had to add to that?
I think
No,
Arno Uncle's here.
sorry, go ahead.
Arno Uncle is here, I think.
Oh, okay. Aruna, I handle the
No, it was nice to listen to
hand
everyone.
over the baton to you.
Maybe I will just.
Sai
Yeah,
Ram,
I think Sai Satish nicely explained. See, generally, if we come back, if at all we tasted it and we came back and we said, this is what we experienced during that time, Swami would say the mind was not experiencing that state.
Yeah.
It's beyond mind. So there are people who come and say, oh, I experienced it. That means they have not really understood what they experienced. Swami has very clearly stated that. I think Sai Satish mentioned.
Okay.
People say, I went into trance. Swami has called it multiple things. They say mental disturbance, hysteria, or they need some treatment.
Right.
So this is the reality. So I think if anyone came and said, I experienced this oneness, that means they themselves don't know what that oneness is. Because Swami would say, that experience is beyond the mind. So at that point in time, mental experiences don't exist. I think that's what Swami has said. Bhava samudayamul levu. Swami has clearly stated, it's not feelings. It is not even intellectual understanding. Even Siddhantamul levu. So I think it is beyond an ability to discuss what that experience is. I think that's my view also. And I think Auntie had asked, how do we experience it? See, it is like I'm in grade 2 or grade 3, and somebody says there's something called PhD. It is impossible for me to understand how do I PhD. Auntie has put her hand.
my question was,
Yes,
what
sir.
are the hurdles? What are the obstacles that make us not to go into that state of
Yes, Auntie.
that's
Yes,
what
sir.
Sai.
Yes, thank you, Auntie. Thank you. I think Swami has dealt with it already. As long as we externally focused, we are after sense objects, desires, there's no way we can ever even grasp at the remotest level what is that state, is my understanding. So I think first of all we have to cut down our desires, any sensory objects. I think that's all we can work on today. That is the biggest block. And how do we know that we have overcome desires is, I think, when we don't feel sad when we don't get something which we thought we should get. We are not afraid that something is going to go wrong in our lives. If these two are absent, that means we have at least crossed over desires. Because at that stage, we have sort of surrendered to the will of the Lord. We will accept everything the Lord gives. I think that is what I think most of us, I think others, I shouldn't club everyone into this category, but I think that's what most of us can work on.
Yeah.
Once we do that, we have sort of senses under control. We are not slaves of the external objects. Then we have to turn with the mind. This mind will tell you, you had this great experience. You're almost a jnani. And then, I may be asked to give a couple of talks, then I can give talks. One day, whole day, I was in jnana. The world looked like one big thing. It was all connected. People can give all sorts of experiences. That is the problem of the mind. Winning over that mind is another problem. So, so that also actually because of the external, because we want to listen to people being impressed by our achievements. So, the mind goes after that also, I think. So I think we have to get over the mind. And that is a very, Swami would say meditation, dhyana is the way, dharana, dhyana. And through that, I think Swami has already covered some of this in earlier chapters as well earlier in this chapter. And I think once we get to that point, we have, but not to say that at times we remind ourselves, oh, I am Atman. And that's an intellectual exercise only. That will not give experiential exercise, experiential understanding. I think that's all I can say. So I cannot speak more than this. So I think when we get the mind under control, it's like, how can I sleep is the question. If I'm sleeping, of course, when I wake up, I know that I slept. But jnana experience, Swami has said, is not like that. If you go into that sleep, you are always asleep. So the thing, you don't even come back. If you came back, you wouldn't sleep. That's the way in the jnana world is. So I think we should not, because all what we are trying to do, even abhyasa, which we try to do, is only with the body and the mind. So Swami would say, control the. I think Swami, Swami has given this padyam, nice padyam. I think Sai Satish will again and again say, దేహేంద్రియములు అరకట్టి మనసు నిలిపి అంతర్ముఖము చేసి సమాన చిత్తుడై నిలవగలడా. That's what Swami says. So I think Swami has given the దేహేంద్రము నిలిపి, number one step. That is a big obstacle. దేహేంద్రం అణుకట్టి మనసు నిలిపి అంతర్ముఖము చేసి. So I think sometimes when we say antarmukha, then we don't interact with the world. I think that's another fallacy which we get. And Swami will say, no, that's not right. Jnani knows that external world exists, but he is always interested in the Atma. So they may still function. I think Sister Jyoti, asked the question, why do they still remain? And for this, I think Sanjay has already given the answer. Because once you come to that jnana state, only one person can give the ultimate merger. That's only in the hands of God, is my understanding. So even a Jivan Mukta, he may just still wait. Or he is not even waiting actually. He's not waiting. Because at that point in time, he's one with the Brahman. And the Lord will do whatever I think he wants. Because I think another question was asked, what is prarabdha karma? See, the prarabdha karma, if at all, it affects only a jivan, not a jivan mukta. And the karma gives certain experiences. And Swami has given this also another analogy. He says, if you switch off a fan, the fan slowly comes to an end. Even though electricity is cut out. So it may be something like that, but that is fully controlled by whoever turns off the switch, which ultimately Swami says only the Lord can grant that. That's my thoughts. So I hope that complements all the discussions I have shared. Sairam Sanjay, I think you raised your hand and.
No, I just wanted to add one thing. I think when it thinks about Jivan Mukta, we think of that person as an individual, whereas the Jivan Mukta by nature has already become everything and everywhere all the time. So that person is no longer an individual in that body and mind as that person was before attaining the state of Jivan Mukta. So to ask that question, I mean, I think the question kind of resolves itself when we realize that person is no longer that individual alone, but he or she is all of everything in the universe. So then where does that person go? Nowhere to go. Yeah, that's the only thing I wanted to add. And I'm glad the discussion happened, because I think there is that, because Swami says here, if a person has his knowledge of the immanence of the divine and even its transcendence, he cannot be honored as a jnani, right? So I think sometimes we get carried away in hearing certain experiences and elevating people to certain levels, and then that takes on a life form of its own. And that can, I thought, because I think that can become an impediment in our own seeking, in our journey to seek based on what Swami has said, what Shastras have said. And I think this discussion has helped at least solidify that the way we should approach these experiences from others. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay. I think, in Tamil, there's a saying, I think whoever speaks Tamil knows. It says, Kandavar Vindilar, Vindavar Kandilar. Those who saw will not speak. Those who speak haven't seen. It's a very age-old saying in Tamil. I'm sure in every language it is there. So I think we should be wary of people who talk. And we should not get caught up, as Sanjay said, because sometimes we tend to listen to these people, read these things, and our own understanding of what Swami teaches gets very diluted and sometimes misunderstood also. I think I'll stop there. Saira.
Sairam, I just wanted to clarify a couple of points. So I think in previous discussions, we have spoken that the Jivan Mukta, like their body will naturally fall off within a certain number of days. At the same time, I think we've learned from Bhagavad Gita also how Krishna saying how the jnani does his action so as not to confuse other people, and so that he's a role model for others. So how do you reconcile these two? Like they kind of
Very
seem.
good question, Kalyani. I think Sanjay has already answered this question. When people say the body drops, they think the person dies. As Sanjay said, the Jivan Mukta is dead to the body. Okay. So that is the real death. So, that even the little identification of that will stop. This is the way I understand. But generally, that was also discussed because this generally in Shastra, this is meant. This is mentioned. So the thing is, understanding what is dropping the body can be a bit misleading. Because our understanding of dropping the body means the person dies.
Mm.
Okay. But the Jivan Mukta is dead to the body. So, he doesn't feel the body will go, just continue its journey because it's a physical thing. And as Sanjay said, he is not confined to the body. He is identifying with the world. So I think that's the way I think we should take that.
Mm.
But I think as soon as even if we become Jivan Mukta for a few days, that sense of identification with the body could remain. But after that, the identification will become completely cut off. Is the way I understand. I think Sanjay nicely explained this. And they may live for years, they may live for decades, they may live for, we don't know. But generally, the body will have a natural death, when the body disintegrates or whatever. Yes, Auntie had raised her hand.
Yeah. The prarabdha karma is the cause for, even though Jivan Mukta dies to the world, physical death may take place afterwards, as you said. And because of his prarabdha karma, he has to go through.
The body will go through.
Ramana Maharshi went through. Yes. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also went through the cancer portion. And so that's because of their prarabdha. They have themselves explained, and Swami also sometimes has said it looks like prarabdha karma that one has to go through. Swami has also said. Saira.
Thank you, Auntie. Because generally people don't understand this prarabdha means once you start something that has to have its natural end. Prarabdha means that which you have begun. So I think the arrow is shot or whatever, Sairam, thank you very much. Kalyani, okay?
Yes, I have another question. So we were talking about how if you have a glimpse or if you have an experience and then you come back to the world and you speak about it, then it's not real. So how about like these people that we've been speaking about, like Ramana Maharishi and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa? So are there, how do we make of that?
See, so the problem is, Kalyani, many of these gurus have had many sishyas. Whatever we are reading are written by people who speak about it. Okay. People can even say, even Swami said so personally to me, but I would take many of this with pinch of salt. In the sense, if we really believe, then that's a different story. But I think we are studying what Swami has said. I think it's better we stick to what Swami has said and understand it properly. If we try to compare and contrast with other writings of other people, because the people who wrote this, we don't know with what understanding they have written. Okay? Because everything is second-hand information. So I think that we can listen, but that should not dilute what Swami has taught, is what I would say. I will leave it at that. Okay. I would say the same thing about people who tell Swami gave me this experience. Swami, so I think it can be an experience, but only a mental experience, not a jnani's experience, is what I would say. Everyone would have had mental experiences which Swami would have given them, but it definitely does not fall into the jnana experience. But then some question may ask, don't we ever have that experience? Actually, we are continuously having, but our mind completely diverts the problem. Because there's a trickle of experience, I think all of us have, which we are not even aware of, is what the Vedanta says. So I think we all have that experience, but not what the mind describes. So that's all I would. So I hope that doesn't confuse you.
Yes, I guess because sometimes when we're talking about, the concept of jnatum, drashtum, praveshtum, we have said that, that glimpse that Arjuna had, it was a glimpse, and then you have to work towards, obtaining that yourself. So is that glimpse false? Is it not valid? Is it not true?
See, okay, I think others can also answer, then I will come back to that question. So I think Kalyani's question is how to see the validity of Arjuna's experience. Is it true? I think that's a question. We can discuss that. Did he have a glimpse or not?
Sai Satish raised
Sai
hand
Satish,
long
yes.
ago.
Sai Satish is going to speak now.
I can no, I was just going to say from the previous thing, Anna, like one is what was being spoken about the prarabdha karma. I was just going to say karma. Swami says karmanubandhe manushya loke. So karma is tied at the level of the body. So if one is dead to the body, then only the body gets hit. It's nothing beyond that is affected. It's again noppi undigani badaledu. The same thing. The pain is there, but there is no suffering. That is one thing. Then coming to this one, I was just going to say again the same thing, because we see from the Vahini itself what Swami has written and what Kasturi Garu has translated. We see the gap based on the perception of how the translation happens. So again, it is the same thing, yata drishti tata srishti, and that drishti of that person of like anything. Now, again, the way Krishna gave his Vishwarupa, if say Vyasa was to see it, if Arjuna were to see it, and somebody else were to see it, the way the perception of the thing again changes, because the instrument that is used to perceive something that is not perceivable is limited because of the limitation of that instrument. And because it is limited by that instrument, again, there is dilution that happens in that understanding and that whole thing. So even if whether we go to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa or Ramana Maharshi, if it is in their own words, again, even if it is in their own words, like the same thing how Swamis, Vahinis are, when we perceive of it, there is a dilution in that process. So where I'm trying to come is, again, when we talk about experience which is fleeting and lasting, anything that we say, because I will just share an incident. Swami was asking the students in the interview room, Swami asked, what is the start to spiritual life? So many students gave so many answers, and one boy said, Swami, river merging in the ocean. And then Swami started repeating, oh, river merging in the ocean, merging in the ocean. And then he said, the start to the spiritual life is river living as the ocean. So now my perception of what river living as the ocean is different from all people who are attending this satsang, right? So I'm just using that same example, like whatever comes, because it is seen through the realm of the buddhi, manas, and the indriyas. Tell me your company, I shall tell you what they are. If I am at the level of senses, I'll be interpreting at the level of the senses. If I'm at the level of the mind, I'm interpreting at the level of the mind. If I'm at the level of the buddhi, I'm interpreting at the level of the buddhi. If I have to go beyond that, that is where complete silence comes. But I'll stop here. Sai Ram.
Thank you, Sai Satya. Yes, Sister Maha.
Sairam, brother, I don't know. I can ask this question now. I just want to know when the body drops, around the people, the relatives and everybody, they cry. So I want to know the Atma suffer and how long, the Atma can realize, the children are crying, the wife is crying, husband is crying, and how long this one lasts.
Thank you. So there are two questions. I think Kalyani's question, how valid is Arjuna's experience, whether it's valid. And I think Sai Satish has nicely explained. The instruments which we use determine the level of experience. So if anyone else has something to add to that, yes, Sanjay, please go ahead.
Sairam, or no. No, the only other thing I would add, and correct me if I'm wrong, see, even when we talk about, unfortunately, the word experience is a very, it's a hard, I mean, it's the best word we have in English, but it does not do justice at all to all of Shastras. I mean, all that is communicated through Shastras, even here in English. Swami, at least Katsurigaru's translation, the faith must enliven and enthuse. Then there is another place where Swami says, for the knowledge has to be digested through actual experience. The belief must penetrate and prompt every moment of living, even in English, right? Because the moment it's an experience, it is jada. It is an object to yourself who are the subject. So it is impossible. So actually, even if you look at, and correct me if I'm wrong here, anyone, in all of the spoken, in all of the Shruti Shastras, rarely do they define the experience. They define what we are not. They keep goading us from away from what we are not, what we are not, what we are not. Because it's hard, as even Satish gave the example of, the translation from Swami's writing, or the Drishti Srishti analogy. It is very hard to put into words or anything when one is fully aware of their nature as the subject. So it's like it's a paradox, because those who are on this side of the wall don't know what it is on the other side of the wall, but those on the other side of the wall don't know what it is on this side of the wall. So it is like that. That's so I think even in the case of these devotees, even Arjuna, for example, who had this experience, it is less about the experience as a subject, but it is more about an experience as to you are something more than what you think you are. As in that's an experience in the mind, motivating, nudging the person towards seeking the greater truth or the higher truth, is what I understand it as. Because I mean, nobody can deny the fact that the Vivekananda had experience, or as Brother Shivadas said, the devotees who had the Mauna Vyakaranam from Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, I mean Ramana Maharshi, or Arjuna having the
Vishwarupa.
experience, the Vishwarupa Darshan, Virata Swarupa Darshan. I think it is more so about nudging or pushing or encouraging the person towards seeking the reality, but that is not the experience of the real. That is not their actually subjective experience, but it's more so like through the mind giving an experience. You are more than who you think you are. So now start working towards that. That's how I understand it. I'll stop here.
Thank you very much, Sanjay. Anyone else would like to comment?
No.
Yes, Brother Sivadas, please
No,
go
no.
ahead.
What I wanted to say is now compare and contrasting. Now, Sister Mani Bhashyam was speaking about prarabdha karma, no, for the Jivan Mukta's body. Actually, we know for soul wise there's no karma. All three karmas vanished. But for the body, Mani Bhashyam was alluding some Sanskrit words. But I remember what Brother Arnodin said about the fan. I remember reading it in some of the lines, I think. So when the fan was whirling and rotating, and we stopped the switch, and the fan rotates for some more minutes until it stops completely. So that's how Bhagawan explained that Jivan Mukta's body, how it body drops. And also, I want to add one more thing here, out of the point here, which Sanjay was talking. Where can the Jivan Muktas go? So the very same question, just before the death of body's death of Ramana Maharshi, brother might know that Sri Muruganar is one of the greatest devotees and who composed 30,000 verses about Ramana Maharshi, Tamil. He was weeping, and Ramana Maharshi asked, "Why are you weeping? Did you learn anything from me until these days? Where can I go?" In English translation is that, "Where can I go? I can't go anywhere. I am not going anywhere." That's the answer. So there is no place to go once when the mind is annihilated. No, so that point also. So one question is because another Jyoti, somebody also said somebody or Revati, some said about the prarabdha karma connecting to the body. No, that's what I want to know. Whether really the prarabdha, say if the prarabdha says so 96 years he will live, then the body will be living for 96 days, or what is the force that automatically stops, That's the third thing. That's the question I have. Hey, brother, you understand what? Because I confused, I think.
Okay. Okay, brothers. Thank you for. I think you asking about the prarabdha and the impact on the body is what you
Yeah.
Sai Satish, please go ahead.
On a lighter note, every guru, like Buddha also, when he was leaving
Exactly.
the body, Ananda goes and he tells him, "You pichivada," he blasts him. "What have you learned from me? You don't even know that." So for the disciples, it's a problem. For Guru, no problem. And on the other note, what Sanjay was saying, he said for people on this side of the wall, they don't know that side of the wall, right? What I wanted to say is on people on that side of the wall, there is no problem because there is no wall. right? They don't see any, they see as one united thing continuum. So for this one, usually the thing what from Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's thing is 21 days. 21 days after you realize the Atmic self, the body drops as a dry leaf. That's what is said, which is also what we chant in Rudram. Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukam bandhanat is that only. It will drop off as a cucumber, it will just detach. So that way, 21 days number is there as such. If one has realized the Atmic self, then 21 days later, the body will know whether really they have realized the Atmic self. So that's on a lighter note. But then going back to this part of this whole thing of being in that self, the thing is how once the balloon bursts, the air on the inside is the same as the air on the outside. So while being, I'm just again, this is a mental gymnastics. So while being in this body, if one can feel the joy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam truly, then that would reflect some bit of what the Atmic self understanding, because they would be as happy in the company of any inanimate object as much as they are happy in the presence of a living thing. It would be a continuous, a seamless experience of continuous joy rather than experiencing something now and experiencing again. The word experience itself limits what experience is, but then so it is basically the word Jagat itself explains. If something comes, then it goes. But what comes and stays, I think, becomes the self. What comes and goes remains the world. So just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sai Satish. So I think I will, if no one else, I will address Kalyani's question about how valid was Arjuna's experience. So I think we should understand the context. Arjuna wanted to see Krishna in his real form. So Krishna did whatever he had to. And then he told, whatever you saw itself, Jnanis have still not seen. Okay, so that's what Swami said. So it is like, I will give a worldly experience. One day your child asks, if you are a surgeon or you are a doctor, they will say, I want to come and see how you do surgery. Okay, they're a very small kid. They're pestering you so much. Then it's okay, come, I will show you. So you go to the surgery, or maybe you will take a dummy and to show how surgery is done. That is the extent to which the child can experience. Did the child have that experience? Yes. Then you bring them home and say, see, look here, not everyone comes and sees this. But to get to this, you have to study well. You have to finish your schooling, you go your degree, then you do your master's, or whatever you do your MBBS, then you become a surgeon. So I think all of us are in a similar situation. Swami gives an experience to motivate us to work towards something. We should not confuse that experience to be the real one, actually. So Arjuna's case also was the same. That's why Krishna had to tell at the end of it, look here. He said, I can't take it anymore. It's like, you take a child and you say, look, I'm doing the surgery and the blood spurts, and you'll say, oh, I want to run out of those operating theater. Okay? Because the child can't handle the blood. But that is the extent to which you can give it, which is what Krishna did. He was doing surgery in the world and Arjuna couldn't take it. Krishna was eating, Krishna, people were born, everything was happening. He said, enough. So it's like a child who wanted to see surgery, ran away from the operating theater. So Arjuna's experience was only that. So you can tell me, did the child have a doctor's experience at that? No, the child is still not a doctor. Child had a glimpse of a surgery being performed, couldn't handle it. Okay. So I think that's the way I would take Arjuna's instance also. Of course, but he says Arjuna was at least capable of seeing a little bit. We may not be. And I think that's what all great gurus do for the Sishyas. Ramakrishna did for Vivekananda, which he is talking about, but he had to work very hard to get back to that place. And so I think the point was that we cannot, mind is incapable of describing it. Even Ramakrishna did so many things to Vivekananda to get to that. He said, I am unable to meditate, I am Kali, I am not seeing. Then he said, how you can see Kali? It's very difficult to explain to somebody who is not yet ready about something which they can only achieve after progressing very far. Okay, so that's why I would understand that. Not to say Arjuna was a great devotee, he was a great warrior, he was much more capable than any one of us. But even for him, it was a challenge. And I think then Brother Sivadas asked about Prarabdha. I think Sai Satish has mentioned. See, the workings of the karma can never be understood by anyone. And each situation, karma works differently. Swami has said that the marmam of karma is impossible for human beings to understand. So yes, Prarabdha, maybe it is said in the state, many script, Puranas and certain texts, Sanskrit, that 21 days or something like that. We really don't understand what they said. It's like Swami saying, if you can stop your thought for 11 seconds, you have achieved. Okay, so it's something like that, I would say. The numbers don't mean anything. The days also don't mean anything at that realm. But if you ask, it's like children asking, when are we going to get home? When are we going to go home? Then, parents will say, give some number. You count 100 and we will reach home or something like that, So the numbers don't really have, the number that by itself does not mean, but the number makes you a bit more patient, or, mind will be calm or some such thing. It's a way I would understand. So I think the prarabdha will run its course. We don't know how. It is. I think in the Sandhya Nivarni, there's a nice song. Swami has Tai 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 Pomam, in which he is nicely explaining some of this, because it's very, very difficult to know the Chitramu Vichitramu, Swami would say. It is inexplicable. So I would say we cannot take one rule, but I think it's sort of sense, there may be some delay or gap in the body dropping for a Jivan Mukta. But I think my understanding is that their identification with the body will die. And then at that point in time, they have submitted the body to the universe. And the universe, whatever it does, it happens. It's the way I see it. Yes, Sanjay, please go ahead.
No, this question of prarabdha has brought about another question for me. See, prarabdha karma only attaches to the owner of the action. A Jivan Mukta is, no longer owning the action, the original action. So it's like, mailing a letter to somebody whose no longer at that address, right? Right. So my question is, or my thought here is, just like every other Leela that comes out of the life of these jnanis and avatars and so on, which is all meant to teach us some lesson. This manifestation of quote unquote prarabdha karma, is it not just merely another way to demonstrate to us to give up this, as Satish said, no undi badaledu, it's like, if pain is ever no suffering, is it also another leela just to demonstrate to us? Or, is it, unless somewhere it's said in the Shastras or Swami has said about prarabdha karma being attached to the Jivan Mukta? That was my question.
I think you answered the question also, Sanjay. With your question.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, that's, as you said, doership brings on karma. When there's no doership, nothing sticks to you. Is my understanding also, yes.
Brother, about the body, the question was about the body.
Yeah, the body, see I think I will take another. See, in the world, the bodies are, all the bodies which are going to be born, which are going to live, which are going to die is already determined. Okay. So even a Jivan Mukta has to enter a body at some point in time. And they will exit that body, means they stop the identification with the body. But the body, it's like, there's a merry-go-round. It's going round and round. A person who is very good, he may jump off the merry-go-round, but the merry-go-round is still going round and round. So the thing is, we think, it's like Swami always tells, he goes on these trips with students. He will go on the trip and then Swami will get out of the car and get into the bus with the students. Everyone is praying to the car. Swami is not in the car. Okay, but the car has to go to the journey. But Swami may be traveling in the bus. He will start for Uti. He was in the car for some time and then he's in the bus. But Swami's car will go to Uti and stop. But Swami may finish the rest of the journey in the bus. But people on the street doesn't know whether he is in the car or in the bus. They will all pray to the car and throw flowers at the car. This Swami has demonstrated to us. So I think a Jivan Mukta is like that. He has gotten off the car, but the car is still running. He can get back into the car or he can go in the bus. It's that going from the car to the bus car is an individual. Bus is the Vasudhaiva. So Jnani goes from individual car into the Vasudhaiva Kutupaka state. So he is living in everybody at that time. As Sanjay said, he is living as the river, living as the ocean, which is what Sai Sati said. So I think that's the way I would say. The Prarabdha Karma is the car started, so it has to end in Uti or Kodaikanal.
Karma
I think so.
Karma Data Naruda.
Karma Data
Vashama Naruda. Everybody has to go through. Yeah.
So I think that's the way, brother, I understand Prarabdha. Because if a journey is started, it will end.
Yeah.
But the Jivan Mukta can decide what he wants to do because he's totally free. He's totally free. Whether he's in the car or in the bus, he is free. I think that's the way I would say. But we may see the car going and think, the Prarabdha Karma is going. But yes, but I don't think it affects the person. So because when it doesn't affect the person, it does not necessarily matter. We may offer flowers at the car and worship. But of course, the Jnani will accept that prayer also. If they throw the flowers at the bus also, he will accept. I think that's the way I would say. Kalyan, you have a question?
Sorry, I don't know if you can answer quickly or maybe next time. So
No, you asked the question. I think already we have not answered Sister Maha's question. It's a bit out of syllabus, but we'll address it next time, sister. Yes, Kalyan. If it is related to this, we will answer that.
So because in the previous few study circles, we talked about, that Jagrata being careful and about that master who at the end of in his life, the students were calling out to him and he said, even now the Satan's not leaving me. So they have to be Jagrata till the very end. Vigilant. And so, but a Jivan Mukta, do they still need to be vigilant or they don't?
My understanding is if they have reached the stage of Jivan Mukta, they are transcended that.
So the vigilance is before that.
I think the next few paragraphs we will be discussing some of these. So I will leave it at that.
Thank you.
Okay, I think the next few paragraphs Swami is covering Rishulu, Daivamsa Sambhutas and all that. I think we will cover that. I think it's 4:33. Sister Maha, I think for 1 week you will have to worry about this question. We'll meet next.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. I just thought about it. It's okay. Thank you very much. But remember to explain next Sunday.
I will give you short answer. A short answer, sister. It's like when a mother drops a child in the kindergarten and leave. The child will cry, the mother will cry. Some mothers cry more, some children cry more. Sometimes the mothers don't cry. So I will leave it at that. We will discuss it next week. Sai Ram, sister.
Thank you.
Sai Satish, you can close the session, I guess.
Okay. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Saram.
Sai Ram, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.